Hello, 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 and welcome back to Courageously Kind. Today we are joined by one of our most favorite friends in the entire world, Miss Lucy.
Hello.
We're so excited to have you. I can't believe we haven't had you on the podcast yet.
How dare you?
I know. We've only been friends for how long? 2 years now, almost?
Just a whole 2 years.
Just a whole 2 years, and we haven't had her on. But we're finally doing it today.
Yes, we are so excited.
And we are going to dive into what inclusion means to Lucy and also talk about her most recent service trip, which we are so excited to hear all about. We've heard bits and pieces, but we're going to get the full deep dive today. I'm very excited.
Oh, yeah. Very excited to share.
Awesome.
Amazing. If I could start with a cheesy icebreaker question.
Liz loves icebreakers. It's her favorite thing in the world.
This one's a little bit more boring, but could you describe your major and your minor here at Marywood?
Of course. I am a double major here at Marywood with pursuing Spanish and environmental studies. What's funny is that I actually came in as a graphic design major.
It's so funny.
And I love art and I love it so much, but it wasn't my thing for like a career. I'm like, I don't want to slave away at what I love to do.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because it was like never had I really, I always had Spanish.
Right.
Spanish was always in my life since I was like 3 years old.
Because your
2
mom
years
was a
old.
Spanish teacher.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. So you already know. I was learning the forms of saying.
Yep.
Esos, all that stuff.
All the grammatical concepts at 3.
Yes, ellos. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Since I was like 2 years old. So it was clear Spanish was always going to be something, whether it was a major or minor.
Yeah.
And when I came as graphic design, it was my minor. And I laid back on that for a little bit as a major. And then it like came to the sudden realization that, oh my gosh, wait, I love it. I love the natural world.
Yeah.
And I want to advocate for it.
Yeah.
Through being an environmental studies person. So.
I love it.
Amazing.
We had a very similar story of like we came to school and we didn't really know what we wanted to do, and then we were like, wait a minute, this is what I've loved. Communications and media is what we have loved forever. So we totally relate to that. Just like I think sometimes you just have to get here and like try stuff and then realize, wait a minute, what do I really like? What do I really want to do for the rest of my life?
Yeah, and it's so cool seeing what you're doing now. You're really combining the two together.
Yeah, totally.
We're going to get into that in a minute. But before I ask every guest, if you could be a kitchen appliance or utensil, what would you be and why?
Oh, Lord.
This is his favorite question.
I would be a dish towel.
Okay.
No one has said that yet.
It's a good
I'd like to be a
one.
dish towel, and I'd
That's
be
a
a
good one.
dorky looking one that just says something so cheesy,
With
like
like a dad joke.
yeah, some crazy dad joke.
I love it.
That's
What would
perfect.
you be today, Liz?
Ooh, I think today I'm feeling a tea strainer. So you put the dried tea in?
That came to my mind. I was going to say a Keurig.
Okay.
Yeah, we have been using our Keurig a lot lately.
We put it to good use.
Yes,
You know?
yeah, a lot of coffee. We did tea this morning. It was good. Yeah.
I love it.
I love this question. It's so silly.
So-
So we are here primarily today to talk about your service trip. But before that, take us back to almost 2.5, 3 years ago when you're making your college decision. What drew you to Marywood? Why here? Why, this school? Why this area? Why this program? Why did you make that decision?
Well, let's see. It was funny because Marywood, like, I'd never heard of it until I got a postcard in the mail.
Aw.
And originally,
marketing.
yes, originally I'm like, oh, they have graphic design. It'd be cool to go here.
Yeah.
I had in my career options landscape architecture, graphic design, and obviously Spanish. So trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and at the time I was like, oh, graphic design, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna go to Marywood, I'm gonna go do it. And I did, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was. And honestly, the first time I showed up at Marywood with my mom, walking under the arch, as most do, it's like a fairy tale. The campus itself was gorgeous, but like the immediate welcome we got was just so, like, no words could describe it.
Yeah. We had a really similar experience when we had our tour here a few years ago. Just like everybody was nice and everybody was welcoming, and we hadn't really experienced something like that on any other college campus.
Yeah. And not in like a fake way. It was very genuine, and you could really tell like they weren't trying to sell you on the school. They were just being kind.
Nice. Yeah.
It was lovely.
Yeah.
Kindness.
Right?
They were being kind.
Our whole thing. Did you
Definitely.
tour other schools? Did you look at other schools?
I did. I toured Kutztown. Obviously Penn State. Like my
Lucy
parents
comes from a big Penn State family.
Yep, they said I had to apply at least. Toured Penn State, Kutztown. Almost went out to Vermont to tour some stuff out there. Oh yeah, also another thing I had like in mind was marine biology, but
Very fitting for the environmentalism.
yeah, that was like kind of a joke at the time, but now it's like might not be such a joke anymore.
Do you think you'll go on to do grad school?
Not quite sure yet.
Yeah,
I
you've
mean,
done.
I'm sure it would be very beneficial for my like career path.
Yeah.
Like I could pick up. Currently, I'm in the studies, which focuses more on like the research aspects and like studies in humanities and just getting that word out to the general and public, having them understand what the value of the environment is.
Yeah.
If I were to go to grad, I'd probably pick up the science portion of it and get into like the actual like field study and stuff.
Yeah. That's exciting.
But yeah, it's right now I feel like I'm very happy with where I am at. And definitely both my majors can benefit the other.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I love that.
That's so
I
awesome.
love, this is unintentional, but it seems like all of our guests have like the activism bug in them. And they're all very advocacy rooted. And that was just totally unintentional.
Yeah.
It just kind of happened, but I don't know.
That's a really good point.
Birds of a feather flock together. That was so
Oh, yeah.
stupid. I'm sorry.
Oh, you know that.
Liz is
True,
rhyming
though.
here. We gotta gotta change the subject before Liz busts out any more rhymes.
Lion pride.
There you go.
Lion pride.
I love it.
Figure something out with that.
We could. Ooh. Wheels are spinning. Right.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have to talk a little bit about your family's business. They have been so generous to us, but they also really, you can see the passion in what you're studying and what you're doing, which is so cool. Tell us a little bit about Anewalt's landscaping contracting.
Yeah. Well, I've been there my entire life. Literally, I started working there when I was 13. And then after I got out of high school, I'm like, I want to find my own job. But honestly, like after a while, I'm like, I miss it. I miss working there. But yeah, as I said, I grew up around literally in a little stroller sitting underneath my mom's desk shredding paper. I think she has a picture of me with like shredded paper
Starting them young. Yeah.
across everywhere. But yeah, it was a fun thing. My mom, she had not always been a part of the business. In fact, she was a Spanish teacher, as you'd mentioned. And when they adopted me, I'm adopted from Guatemala. They adopted me, and my mom wanted to spend more time with me and my father, so she gave up the teaching gig for a bit to help out my dad in the business.
Yeah.
At the time, we were just like getting started, and it was very, very small. It was like in a little. Honestly, it was in a shack. It was in a shack, and now it's actually our storage unit.
Oh my gosh.
The old office.
Where the office is now. It was on that.
Yes,
property
it was
there?
like that like showroom in the back.
Oh my gosh.
That was the original office.
Wow.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
office that is the office now was like a storage unit too.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So you really got to watch the business side kind of flourish and grow and bloom
Oh yeah.
as you grew up. That's so cool.
Yes, it was awesome, and
Yeah.
it definitely did contribute to my love for nature and just because I was outside my entire childhood. I was like a limit of 3 TV shows a day.
And then you gotta get outside.
Yes. One in English, one in Spanish, and the other of your choice. Outside.
I love it.
Outside. So I'd always been there, and my parents, it's just, I look at how they built it up, like everything, it's so, I don't want to say success, I mean it is successful from where it once was.
Absolutely.
And they've come such a long, long way.
Yeah.
And I was too young to understand the hardships that they went through to get to where they are.
Yeah.
And it is truly a blessing to see the business for what it is. It's taking on an environmental aspect, thanks to moi. But I've definitely, it's funny because as a kid, I'd be like, my dad said, I'm going to retire at 60. And then I'm like, you can't do that. It's not going to be called Anewalts anymore. So I'm like, I'm going to take it over. And that's where the landscape architect, I'm like, I'm going to take over the business one day. And like
awesome.
all the little people at church, they'd be like, are you going to take it over one day? I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
And for a while, I'm like, nah, never mind. But honestly, in a stroke of fate, it's like, maybe it's not completely out of the question.
Yeah.
What I love about your family, Maddie and I, we were talking on the drive back from your house, and like, it makes sense that such a good, kind person comes from good, kind people. Like,
yeah.
Just to be with your family and to be at the business. Some of you may know the story. Your mom gave us a billboard.
Literally a billboard.
The generosity is just like overflowing, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think it really ties into who you are and the work that you do, especially with your service trip to Puerto Rico that we're going to talk about in a minute. So I just want to like commend you for that and like give you a little applause because like it's just so beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. You guys are just too sweet.
And a huge shout out to Lucy's fam. I mean, for being that really welcoming, inclusive, like Liz was saying when we went to visit for the first time, we just felt nothing but like welcomed and loved and supported. And yeah, it's just, you guys are awesome. I can't say it enough.
Yeah. That's so sweet. Like, I know, it's like,
just overwhelming you.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so Liz sort of led into it a little bit, but we really want to talk about your trip to Puerto Rico. It was not even like a month ago, right? Only a few weeks
spring
ago.
break.
From the time we're filming this. What sort of motivated you to sign up for this service trip? What is it about the trip itself, and like what was your time like there? Let's talk about first like what prompted you to like sign up for the trip.
So it's actually funny because as I'd mentioned before, I'm adopted from Guatemala, and the Guatemala trip was on the table, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta do it. I wanted to do it last year, but I didn't get around to signups. But this year I was like, I'm gonna do a service trip this year. It's my sophomore year. I want to do a service trip. And I really wanted to do the Guatemala trip, but unfortunately, due to political circumstances in the country, we were not able to go. But then it was so funny because, like, a few, like 12 minutes, I think, before it was announced that the trip was canceled, one of my environmental professors, Sarah Malik, she is an angel, she had sent me an email saying, oh, there's going to be this trip to Puerto Rico, and it's, like, environmentally focused, and it's a Spanish-speaking country.
Hello.
I'm like, oh my lord, it's destiny.
It's destiny. Yes.
Destiny. And like I said, 12 minutes after that, I was like, oh, this sounds so cool, but I already want to do the Guatemala trip. And then 12 minutes later, it was canceled.
It was canceled, and you're like,
well,
going to Puerto Rico.
The universe is telling me something.
That literally is the definition of like one door closes, another one opens.
Literally.
Like, that's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So what was your time like there? You were there for a week?
Yes, a whole
and
week.
What sort of things did you do on this trip?
Oh my gosh, it didn't feel like a week. It felt like a year.
Really?
Every day felt like 3 months.
Really?
It was amazing. And it was funny because, like, you wouldn't think that such a rigorous amount of work and service would be fun. I mean, like, I grew up, again, back to the landscaping, I grew up working in the sun in the summer and stuff like that. So I was, like, kind of expecting what we were going to do when they said we were going to be planting trees. It was much more enjoyable in an island country. It was so fulfilling, I guess you could say.
That's awesome.
We got there the first day, which was like, oh, it's so funny because it was such a while ago. I can't even remember the days. We got there like,
was it like a Sunday?
I think so. Okay. Yeah, we got there on Sunday. And was it no, it was Saturday. Sorry, yes, it was Saturday. Now I remember, because we had gone to the church on Sunday after working at a community center. But we got there on Saturday, and it was funny because the whole group, it was interesting. I knew quite a few of them. Some of them were teammates, some of them were classmates, some of them were just friends.
How many of there were you?
There was 15, including advisors.
That's an awesome.
Yes,
a lot.
And
Actually.
12 service people.
That's awesome.
But it was it was beautiful. As I said, I knew quite a few going into it, and it was funny because all of them came from different walks of life.
Wow, that's awesome.
And such a group of diversified people being on this trip. Honestly, everyone clicked right away.
Awesome.
I remember the first day we were there, we played this game we aren't really strangers.
Oh yes, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yes, and it was so funny because we got into the deep conversations day one.
Just going there. Yeah.
Going there, and it kind of set up the atmosphere for the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
As we worked together as a group, Marywood community. And with the advisors, it was beautiful to see how much the advisors also contributed to the service that we did, which included the tree planting, helping fix up a community center, some work in the rainforest, cleaning up the trails.
Amazing.
And working at a little plant nursery.
Oh.
The tree planting and the plant nursery were my favorite days.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was very enjoyable to just be able to be in a setting where you are putting all this effort and work in for something greater than your own cause.
That's so beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about Marywood is they really take an inclusive perspective to service. They really try hard not to have that mentality of we're going to go fix this place and these people.
Right.
And instead they have a very much
a very humble perspective.
Of we are coming to help however we can.
Yeah.
And we're going to learn something from the people that we're going to visit. And it's not a savior complex, and it's not we're better than these people. It's so humble and inclusive. What does service mean to you?
Service, it's such a wide, it's got such a wide range. Service I grew up always contributing back to the community in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through Earth Day, small acts of kindness, picking up trash, taking in animals.
Lucy has how many cats do you have?
5 now.
Okay, so 5 cats, how
we
many
need to tell our
dogs?
dad, because our dad's 4 cats is way too many. I'm no, we could get 1 more. Lucy has 5, so we could take 1 more.
We're going to turn into a sanctuary at this
point.
I love it. My father's no more.
Yeah. It must be a dad thing.
I don't know. He secretly likes them all.
Yeah.
I know. He's like, I like that one. But yeah, just service is something that I feel it's an action that you can do to either contribute to a greater cause or benefit your community in some way, shape, or form. And I know since I was young, my mom would always take me along our road and we'd pick up trash just to beautify our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's one of our mottos for the business, beautifying Pennsylvania one yard at a time.
You've been doing it since you were...
Oh, yeah.
Since you could walk. Yeah.
So it's especially in the environmental aspect, just to preserve the natural beauty of what we have been given on this earth.
Yeah.
I mean, we got one.
Yeah.
We got one. We got to take care of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to serve a community, especially in Puerto Rico, an island country, with such a unique and diverse ecosystem, it was awesome. It was really just awesome. Yeah, it's so funny because I never really thought of what service is. It's just it's something you do to benefit a community.
Yeah.
But if you really try to think into the depths of it, it's service is something much greater than what it's set out to be.
Yes. Yeah.
definitely.
I think it's a lot like kindness. You never know what sort of impact you're going to make on people, and even the smallest thing, like you said, like picking up a piece of trash, or sharing a kind word or message with someone, you never know what sort of impact that's going to have, and you never know how it's going to change the world. It can change the world in ways that you may have never even expected.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That was such a lovely answer, and something that you said, like, service is like, it seems so simple, but there are so many like layers to it. It's so complex. And I think our next question is probably similar. There's probably a lot of overlap in these questions too. But what does kindness mean to you? And then what does inclusion mean to you?
So again, with the it's kindness, it's so
You big.
know,
Yeah.
it's like kindness. Oh, be nice to people.
Yeah.
But what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, what does it mean to be nice to your neighbor? What does
Right.
it mean to just be kind?
Yeah.
Kindness, I feel, can range from person to person. Whether it's you're giving a kind smile to someone who might be having a rough day,
Yeah.
or a card to a relative that you may not have spoken to in a while.
Yeah.
Or just like even acts of kindness, holding the door open, or
Yeah.
paying for the person behind you. Even though sometimes the order can be scary to pay for, it's okay. It's an act of kindness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am back in my hometown. I grew up in a small community.
Yeah.
Going to school, there was like 18 kids in my class.
Oh my
I could probably
gosh.
name them all to this day. 3 of which I went to preschool with.
Oh my gosh.
But something I loved about my class was that all of us, we were just a unit of
Yeah.
a community.
Yeah.
A community of kindness, you could say.
Yeah.
And I remember like my childhood days and stuff like that.
Aw.
It was just full of good memories that
Yeah.
stemmed from kind actions from
That's awesome.
such wonderful people.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
And our last question for you before we let you go. What does inclusion mean to you?
Oh yeah, that's also a big one.
Another big one, yeah.
Oh.
You do it so naturally, though. I feel like
Yes.
you always make whoever you're talking to feel included and like they're part of something and part of the conversation and part of the community. You do a really wonderful job at that.
Thank you very much. Well, it probably also stems from my view of environmentalism.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that inclusion is like something that we don't quite like look at, really.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we talk about it and you can say, oh, I'm inclusive.
Yeah.
But I think that to be inclusive is to embrace the fact that we are all living beings under the same sky.
Yeah.
And that we all have a soul and a purpose in our lives, no matter where we came from, who we are,
Yeah.
what we look like.
Yeah.
We are all, like, people.
Yeah.
living beings.
Yeah.
And the inclusion is to treat all those living beings with kindness, love, respect,
Yeah.
compassion, and empathy.
Yeah.
And just like, you don't have to like a person
Yeah.
to be kind to them.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
An incredible
great
answer from an incredible gal.
Oh my gosh, Lucy, we cannot
was
thank
so
you enough.
fun.
This was really a joy to do.
And I can't believe it's taken us this long.
I know.
2 years. Come on.
That's all right.
We finally did it. Someday we'll have your whole fam on too.
Oh my
we'll have your
gosh.
parents on. And
We'll
it'll
need
be
a little
fun.
bit of a bigger room, but we can do it.
Yes, we would need a bigger room and more microphones, but
That's all
We're gonna
right.
do it.
That's all right. You guys are going places.
you're so sweet. Right
So
back at
are.
you, girl.
We're going together, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, rising up in society
I love
as
it.
kindness advocates.
Woo! And environmental advocates. We love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.